sometimes see, we call it like repeat offenders. We go through the grievance and arbitration procedure, we have employee A, and here he is, he may have an attendance issue. That attendance issue, it gets resolved, we talk to him, say what's going on with attendance, you're not going to work, but I'm okay, it's just, I had a bad month or something. Well, then we may go down the road, it might be 2 months, might be years, it might be less, but we see the same employee, and it's may not be an attendance issue, he may get, got into a confrontation with somebody at work. And we have no official training, I'm gonna say that right now, as staff representatives, or I don't know if any of the management does, official training how to recognize somebody as being a veteran or military status. So me being a veteran, we try to approach him, hey, what's going on? Have you been in the military? Have you got a family in the military? Anything like that. And it gets to the point where he always says, well, yeah, I kind of do. I said, well, let's talk about that. I mean, is this leading to your issues? Is there something that you need to tell me without trying to pry too much into their personal life? Is there something you need to tell me as your representative that I can help you with that's causing these issues? It may not be just as a bad employee. It may not be as that I'm just I'm a drunk or issue of I want to get into the drugs. It's self-medicating in different levels. Sometimes if the self-medicating leads from being excessive amount of alcohol, which leads to I'm missing time from work. That brings back to representing the workplace again with the disciplinary issue. How can I convey to a company or an employer that we have this individual? This is a severe problem that we could look upon as being maybe different from an individual who is just maybe a bad employee. Those things can get like.
Okay. Yeah, Keith, I mean, you've got a really unique perspective here. I mean, you're a combat veteran yourself, and also a plant superintendent, right? So management position. And I don't know, you had mentioned when we talked previously that I don't think there's a high number of veterans employed at your facility, but I mean, what are your experiences? Do you think this is an issue that needs to be dealt with?
It is an issue that needs to be dealt with, but it is. But the hard thing for any veteran, specifically for myself, is actually coming up and when there's an issue, and I have an issue, you're taught in the military that even though the language says, hey, get help, but it's seen as a weakness. And that's hard to get through to somebody to say, hey, it's different specifically in corporate America, to say, hey, get help. These are the benefits that are available to you. But it's hard to get that through somebody's head when they've been taught for so long that showing any type of weakness, that you have a problem that you need help with, it's difficult to get that through their heads to say, yes, we're willing to help you out. You just have to communicate with us. So, and it's a difficult thing, and even I struggle with it. That's a hard thing to go through. I'm fortunate. I have some pretty good mentors that help me through certain aspects of it. But when you have a young kid, trying to get them to understand, hey, let's get some help, they don't want to listen. So they don't have that experience or that mentorship. So it's difficult for not only employers, but it's also difficult for the employees as well. So it is a problem. It's just trying to get through to the individuals to get through to them.
Sounds good, Woman Hunter. You've got a constituency, and at least a segment of it is made up of veterans, right, who are trying to make it work in the workplace. And just say, what's your thought about this? Is this an issue? I know you've had a lot of involvement in veterans issues. You've done some wonderful things in that area. But what's your 2 cents on whether this is an issue?
So thank you for inviting me to this panel. It's interesting because I'm the lawmaker, the legislator, the one where hopefully I can take back information that I gather today and identify if there's ways that we can be more helpful from a legislative perspective, creating some kind of laws enforceable that are obviously funded are important too. My professional background before I was a legislator was actually in human resources, and it was not in a union shop, but I spent many, many years working with the same types of people that we're talking about now, relative to having issues at work, behavior issues, to substance abuse issues. And one of the things that we had talked about on the call is trying to identify that there's people who have PTSD related to veterans issues, but also making sure that we know that there are people with PTSD that are not related to veteran issues as well. And so as we're trying to, identify best practices and going along, we have to make certain too that as we're making concessions for veterans, which I definitely think we need to do, we're being fair to all employees as well. So you know that from a law perspective, and from a union perspective as well. I think mediators know that too. It's like, how are we being fair across the board for employers? We do have some pieces of current legislation right now that we're working on, some that have been voted on in both houses that have been beneficial for employees. They could relate to benefits. They might relate to licensure for actually spouses of benefits. If you're moving from a different state, say you're bringing your nursing license from one state to another, that could be beneficial as well. I think some of the things that the folks have made mention of relative to some of the collective bargaining, preferential hiring treatment, or for combat vets, I think that is something actually that there is an appetite, especially in our current climate, that is something that we probably could get past, something that universally, we're talking about statewide, that people would be accepting and happy to be able to help our combat veterans. I think that where it comes down to, laws are only as good as what can be enforced, is being able to say, we think this is really great, how can we get combat hiring preference, how can we get some kind of training, maybe if it's not there, we could create something and offer it, but being able to roll it down so it's helpful for you at your shops. I think that's where sometimes there's the disconnect with, this is a great law, and how is it applied in an everyday basis, and how do you as employers, you as labor negotiators know that, hey, these great benefits, whether they're tax exemptions, whether they're mental health benefits for veterans, whether it's civil service examination waiving fees, how do you know all of these? Where do you go to know every single law that we have passed that is beneficial for your employees? And I think we need to be able to find a way to bridge that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe LERA can play a role in that. And certainly organized labor and, management associations and that kind of thing. We've had so far a pretty open-ended discussion on whether there is an issue and some of the ways to address it. I mean, there are some legal frameworks, laws, I guess is a better word for it, in place that provide protections for vets, right? Yelena, I mean, we've got USERA, which I'll let you give the full title of. The ADA, which most people are familiar with, is certainly not specific to vets, but it's specific to people with disabilities in the workplace who are facing discrimination or who need an accommodation in order to do their job. And so certainly that would have some application to any vet with a disability, including PTSD, sort of the big one we've been discussing, or any sort of physical disability that may have resulted from the service. What can you tell us just generally about some of these laws that are already on the books?
Yeah, so USERA, which is the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act of 1994, but everyone calls it USERA for short. It protects reservists and National Guardsmen when they get activated for federal duty. So most of the activation is for deployment purposes, so combat veterans going to Iraq and Afghanistan, and so maybe even to Djibouti or some of the other places that we're in right now. Other folks get backfilled, so they get activated to work on a base. They go to Fort Drum to backfill for the folks that are going on deployment. So you'll see either one. Not all veterans are getting deployed to a combat zone. When a veteran is, or a reservist or a guardsman is getting activated, they are required to tell their employer. So one of the things you should tell your employees is just to let the employer know of the activation. Ideally, that's 30 days notice, but the government may not give you 30 days. So DoD always tells the service members to give that 30 days, but it's not required. They do not, the service member does not have to tell the employer that they're asking for reemployment. They should say that. They should say, when I come back, I expect to have my job back. But under federal law, they're not required to. So if the employee is getting activated, they may not think about this. They may just be thinking about, I have to go. I am getting activated. I'm going to Iraq. So just be aware of this. If they are gone for less than 5 years, they can get their job back. And this means they will be able to get back not just their old position, but where they would have been but for the service. So the seniority will go with it. So if they're gone for 4 years, that's some seniority. So just be aware of the rights that service members have, especially for those deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Most of those deployments are going to be over 6 months. They don't have to return right away. They have 90 days. But like Mr. said, they may come through later because they want to get a paycheck. They want to come back into the workforce. And even though they have that 90 days to get back into civilian life, that's not always going to happen.
So they've got 90 days from when they land back in the States to show up for.
As long as it's over 180 days of activation, yeah. So just be aware that they don't have to come back right away. But a lot of folks are going to try to come back right away, just to get back into the group of things, pay their bills, those types of things. If this comes up, if you see a service member going through this, the ESGR is a great place to go.
What's
It's the Employment Support of the Guard and Reserve. This is a federally funded program. They have a lot of volunteers who mediate and between the employee and the employer. So they're not union. This would be somewhere they could go. A union, they would probably go through union to have that support.
Where did they find this group?
ESGR is on, it's esgr.mil. So it's through the DOD that supports this. And they have mediators throughout the country that do this. You don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be a regular mediator, you can, get training and do it in the local area.
I will say this, as somebody who, an attorney for employers, I've gone to their website when I want to get some more information about what the duties of employers are. So that is a good resource, I think.
Absolutely.
Is that 90 days paid or unpaid?
90 days, so they have 90 days to go back to, they can come back to their job that's unpaid. So they come back off after duty, and that's 90 days unpaid. So a lot of people will want to come back.
That's what brings to a good point. We have a union member who lives in Waterbury, Connecticut, that his actual time to boots on the ground in Baghdad till his standing in his living room was 2 weeks, 14 and a half days to be exact. And his approach to me was, Cary, if I did not have time at the U-boats at work, and I didn't have money in the bank, I would have been at work Monday morning. I wouldn't have had a choice. And so those are some of the issues that we're dealing with. I mean, how can we recognize, how can we work together? I mean, if this is an issue that's vast in places that are heavily populated with veterans, because like he said, his facility may not be, but there's other facilities that are, demographically located in the country that are heavily populated. And if we have a majority of our veterans are returning back, and they're in a 2 to 3 week transition, I mean, think about that. I mean,
well, how does the 90 days play into that? So I mean, maybe it's more complicated than
No, it's not.
So this is maybe an example of just the company and the vet misunderstanding rights under the law.
Well, you have 90 days to ask for your job back. So that's 90 days of you're off work. You're not on active duty and you're not in a job. So it's 90 days of unemployment essentially, but they give you that to then come back to your previous job.
That's it. They could get unemployment even though, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
If they have a job, like sitting there waiting for them out of it.
I do know they'd be eligible for unemployment. I guess it depends on how.
Because